work on the business, but do we work on ourselves? Who sits down and reviews us? What you're aware of, you control. What you're unaware of controls you. When's the last time you took 120 actions towards a goal?
Why isn't everyone wildly successful and performing to their potential? James Morse, welcome back. It's your second time here in Mill Street for the event that's happening in Q2. I want to start right at the root of what I think is the real reason why people don't fulfill their potential. Really, why is it that leaders underperform, and what are the things that people don't recognise about it?
So first and foremost, I think the reason that leaders underperform is because they have low awareness about how they're showing up. I think they have low awareness about the programs that are running in the subconscious, in the back of the mind. Okay, we all do. It's not just leaders, by the way. This affects all humans. So if you think about it, we spend 90% in our subconscious. Okay, and therefore our lives are being directed by our subconscious, and our subconscious is filled with things that we didn't put there. It's been put there by other people, different environments, different experiences, things that influence us as we're growing up through adulthood and into our professional careers, right? So we've got this loop running in the background, and ultimately, unless we challenge what that's saying, what that belief system is, what those assumptions are, sometimes, bear in mind, we should subscribe to the fact, in order to be great leaders of other people, that we have to be great leaders of ourselves. Yeah, that's the starting point for it. So if you haven't got that awareness of how you're showing up, if you haven't got that, what I like to call EQ, that emotional intelligence, which isn't just about self-awareness of noticing emotions, it's about knowing you, your identity, what your values are, what direction you're heading, what makes you feel fulfilled, what gives you a sense of purpose. Yeah, all those things, that clarity that allows you to show up with the authenticity and the deliberacy that's going to make you an effective leader. So, and the other point is a lot of leaders end up in leadership roles or owning businesses because of a technical skill. So think about it, you become an expert in something, you get good results through that. Someone says to you, well, if you're getting a result at that level, surely you're going to get a result at a bigger level. So let's make you the leader, let's make you the manager, let's make you the owner, right? And of course, people take that on because they want that growth. But they've got the capability, they've got the skills, the technical skills, cognitive skills, good problem solvers, they're experts in their field quite often. But who's helped them with the capacity piece, the mental bandwidth that says, actually, what got you here won't get you there. This is a different skill set. Some of those things you did in the past that's got you promoted or helped you into this position are now obsolete. We work on the business, but do we work on ourselves? Who sits down and reviews us? You're being directed by something you're not in control of.
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult as a leader because you think that like you say, you've got to lead and you haven't got anyone to fall back on. You've got to set the example. So having a coach, having that person to tell you how to do it and reflect upon that could be seen perhaps as weakness or vulnerability. You've
absolutely spot on there. So there's two reasons, I think. In the past, coaching's been regarded as remedial. It's a bit like counselling and therapy. See, that psychology piece. There's something wrong with you, so you need someone to help you, right? You're not performing, so therefore we're going to give you a boost in this area. Someone's going to help you do this because you're not quite good enough on your own. Well, that's not the case, okay? Let's think about it, go back to the sports person. You're not helping Usain Bolt run the 100 metres because he's not very good at running. You're helping him because he's got huge potential as a runner, and you want to help him unlock that potential. Yeah. So think about it as high performance rather than underperforming. Thinking about it performing to the potential and closing that performance gap that way. And people say, what's the ROI on it? Right? What's the return on investment? Because that's the other problem it's had around. You mentioned earlier about people thinking there's something wrong with you. Other people say, well, it's a cost. It's a nice to have, right? And actually, other people might think it's expensive. But I would always say my answer to that would be, Think about that gap and think about that over 1, 2, 3, 5 years, and think what that might be worth to you and to your business, to your organisation. And if you added up the value of that, it outstrips any coaching cost. Structured, reviewed actions that takes you in the direction that you want to go. How successful do you think you would be if you did? When's the last time you took 120 actions towards a goal?
Everyone's going to hear this and go, yeah, of course, that makes complete sense. A structure, yeah, absolutely. That will get me there. Easy days. So why isn't everyone living their best lives? Why isn't everyone wildly successful and performing to their potential?
Because it's a bit like, and I'm going to use the gym analogy again. Right? Everyone knows if they go to the gym 3 times a week and they work with a PT and they eat properly, they're going to be fit. We can have a level of fitness that they're probably going to be proud of, right? Which allow them to do most of the things they want them to do. So why doesn't everyone do that?
And when people are doing these intentional things, they're making real progress. What does that look like for the people that you've...
It can be the smallest things, right? And this is about the compound thing. Do you remember those 120 things over the year because you've put one action or one objective under each of those goals that feed into your vision. Let's call it your vision rather than successful outcome for the 12 months. And sometimes that can be as much as having a conversation with someone, changing a relationship, or a conversation that you've been avoiding. It can be going to do something towards your development. It can be going to something to improve your networking.
Yeah, all of these little tiny actions really compound and they equal this performance in the end. But I know that you talk about performance as an equation. What does that mean?
Yes. So I've been broadly talking around that equation, right? So think about the performance. Think of it as a performance gap rather than underperformance. So we're performing where we are, but we want to perform at our potential.
Yeah.
So when we think about that performance, for me, that is clarity. So the first part of the equation is clarity, and that's where I was talking about that clarity of thinking, knowing which direction you want to head in, understanding what you stand for, that part of your identity, where your strengths are, having that choice. Yeah, when you become that self-awareness offers choice, and when you have choice, then you have autonomy. And you have intrinsic connection to what you're doing rather than just extrinsic connection to it. All right. So now you're feeling super powerful about where you can go.
Yeah.
You're clear on who you are, where you're heading. All right. You multiply clarity in the equation by execution. Yeah. This is doing. Yeah. The thinking and the doing. And that's why the system that I offer, my EQ&U program, combined with the curve. EQ&U is all about the thinking, the clarity. The curve is about those 120 actions. Could be more, could be less, by the way, towards your successful outcome. You've decided what that outcome is in your clarity stage. You know, and you're aligned to that. And there you go when you go and do it. And that's about basically the ability to act. You've created that. You're increasing in confidence for those actions as well, right? So of course, the more you do, and the more that momentum builds in that execution, the more the confidence grows, and ambition comes with confidence. You know what it's like? You complete one level of a computer game, right? You're ready for the next level, and that's what happens through this process as well, right? And then, but there's a but on the end of the equation, and anyone that came along to the session will have seen that it's clarity multiplied by, and it's not plus, it's not additive, it's multiplied by execution. Change comes through doing, growth comes through doing, but you've got to watch out for the interference. Okay, and that is the things, us getting in our own way, right? Having a image in our mind, a reality in our mind that stops us getting to the places we could go.
James, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Absolutely love our conversations, and I'm sure we'll talk for much longer later today as well. So thank you, and I can't wait for tonight's workshop.
Look forward to seeing you there. Thanks, David.